Hey folks, Nick here from Another BookTube channel, and today I'll be showing you all of the things that I picked up on my recent trip to Mystic, Connecticut and Terrificon, which is in Connecticut. I was planning on going to Terrificon anyway. I went last year and I really enjoyed it, so I decided that's going to maybe be my new main convention because New York Comic Con isn't really worth it anymore, considering how expensive tickets are. Um, and I was able to parlay this Terrificon visit into just like a full vacation with my partner. We found, the town of Mystic, Connecticut is a very tourist-friendly place. There's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of shops around. So we decided, make a whole extended weekend of it, and it was really nice. We had a really nice time. And there were some better places than others to shop. Like I said, it's a very touristy town. We don't really like the obvious tourist trap types of stores, but I was able to find, a really good used bookstore. She was able to find a really good like antique warehouse that we both really enjoyed. So I'm going to show you what I got from that used bookstore, which was called No Other Book Like It. I'm pretty sure that was the name of it. Um, and I'm also going to show you my Terrificon haul. So a few of the comics I picked up, some of the signatures that I got, as well as the major purchases, the major art purchases that I made, which are pretty cool. I'll start with the bookstore stuff because it's really simple, nice and sweet. So again, the name of the shop is actually, hold on, I have a bookmark from it. No Other Book Like This. That's the name of the bookstore. Very nice little shop. Has a couple shop dogs that hang out in it that are really small, and they like to bark at you and yap, but they're very friendly once you're inside. They were very cute. What did I get? So from there, I mostly stuck to sci-fi and fantasy, and this is what I pulled out. The X-Files Ruins by Kevin J. Anderson. I'm in the middle of watching The X-Files for the first time right now. I'm in the middle of season 5. It's a very fun show. It's a very fun show when it's not a very boring show. But I like Mulder and Scully, and my partner and I are having a great time watching it. So I thought, of course, I'm going to need to check out a novelization or a tie-in novel and see if that's any good. Um, I picked up these next two purely on the strength of their covers and how silly they kind of seemed. This one is Jason Stryker, Jason Stryker, Master of Martial Arts, Mistress of Death by Piers Anthony and Roberto Fuentes. I have heard the name Piers Anthony before. I don't know in what context. I don't know Roberto Fuentes. And I also have no idea what this book is even about. I didn't look at the back of it. I just saw that it had a ridiculous front cover. I like that it has a number 2 in the upper right, which means it's one of those quintessential like part of a long series type of books, probably men's adventure type of thing. In this case, a martial arts themed one, which sounded really fun. So I had to pick this up. I hope that that's fun. And finally, what I'll show is Slave Ship by Frederick Pohl. Frederick Pohl is an author that I am aware of in terms of science fiction, being a big name in that genre. I've never read a Frederick Pohl book before, and I liked the look of this one, where it's a guy who's in a commander's chair on what I guess is a spaceship, and his 3 shipmates are a monkey, a seal, and a dog. And I thought, what are these crazy individuals getting up to on this ship? I gotta find out. So I got this one. Hopefully that's a fun read as well. And on that note, if you know where I should kind of really start with Frederick Pohl, or what are his best books, please let me know, because I genuinely don't know where to start. He's got like a billion of them, and I don't know which are like the best ones. So please let me know. I did buy something else at that store, but I cannot show it here because it's going to be a gift for somebody that I know watches these videos. And I don't want to spoil that gift. So sorry about that. All right. So that's really all I picked up from No Other Book Like This cute shop. There was another bookshop in Mystic called Alice's Haunted Bookshop, I think. It was very good, like very nice aesthetically. It was geared towards like horror and gothic literature, but in terms of a selection, it was just like the horror section at Barnes and Noble. There was nothing really special about it. It's just that they had spooky decorations. It was a tourist trap, basically. It was set in Old Mystic Village, which was purely designed as a tourist trap. Didn't really appeal to me a ton. A little bit disappointed by that. So, okay, Terrificon. Let's talk about signatures. I already put most of these books away, these individual comics away, so I'll just post pictures of them. I got signatures from Sean McManus on the 2 issues of Swamp Thing, of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run that he worked on. Issue 28, which was The Burial, and issue 32, which is Pog. And it was really cool just to get to talk to him a little bit about that. I asked him what it was like working with Alan Moore, if he ever even got to really talk to him much. And he said that there wasn't really a ton of interaction. It was mostly just getting the script and then building it. But on that note, Alan Moore's scripts, and he also mentioned Neil Gaiman because he did Sandman with Neil Gaiman, getting scripts from those 2 writers were basically like getting full books, and they were so descriptive, and so like they knew exactly what they kind of wanted it to look like. But they also, Alan Moore gave him the ability, like, but you're the artist, so if you see something that I don't, then draw it the way you want. And what I thought was really interesting about a Pog issue, he mentioned, because I mentioned like, oh, that's a lot of people call that like their favorite issue of Swamp Thing. And he's like, yeah, when I drew that, I wasn't familiar with Walt Kelly's Pogo at all. So like the character models are like, things are a little bit off there in terms of the way the characters look. Because I really didn't know Pogo. And I thought that was interesting because I also didn't know Pogo the first time that I read it. And I thought it was kind of a weird issue. But to know that like the person involved in the actual creating of it also wasn't involved with that strip, which was so integral to that particular comic, I just thought that was interesting. What else did I get signed? Oh, I met Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez is a great DC Comics artist. He's probably my favorite Superman artist. I love the way his Superman looks. And I like him most for his work on the DC Comics Presents title. He did a lot of issues for that series, and I got signed issue number 41, 42. It's the Joker issue that he did, where Superman teams up with the Joker. So I got his signature on that, but I also got him to sign this binding that I made. This was my first ever book binding, where I tested it out on a bunch of DC Comics Presents, like just old ratty issues that I had. And I thought it would be cool to get him to sign it. So he did sign it on the front end paper. I tried to talk to him a little bit about this and like what I made, but I don't know that his English is so good. So I kind of got the sense that he was just, nodding and being polite, but he had somebody with him who was, I think, doing most of the kind of translating with him. But that guy was also busy doing other stuff at the time. So I don't know how much of it Jose actually understood or got, but he did flip through it. Like he knew what he was looking at. So that was pretty cool. But the best reaction, I'm leaning off camera here. The best reaction I got to one of my bindings was for US 1. I got this signed by Ralph Macchio. Not that Ralph Macchio, not the Karate Kid. Ralph Macchio was an editor for Marvel Comics. And I pulled this out of my backpack, and he saw it and went, "Oh my God, Marvel actually made that?" And I got the satisfaction of saying, "No, I made this." And he was completely flabbergasted. Like, he could not believe that anybody would take the time to make a binding of US1. He took it out of my hands. He was showing everybody at the booth, like, "Look at how awesome this is. Like, can you believe this? Like, look." And he's flipping through it. It's like, he's got all 12 issues in here. It's got the whole thing. And he was telling me, like, "Oh yeah, like I got Michael Golden to do this cover." And I was like, "You got Bill Sienkiewicz too?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got Sienkiewicz on these too. This was interesting. This was when I was working on like the toy line, trying to get the toys made." And he asked me if I liked US1, and I was like, "Well, I like the novelty of it. It's not, it's not very good, but I think it's an interesting novelty, so I wanted to make something special about it." So it was really cool. Like, the fact that he mistook it for something that was professionally made that Marvel actually put out, I was really excited about that. That was a really fun time. I was gonna get Al Milgrom to sign it too because he was there, but his line was too long, and the people who were waiting on the line all had like 20 books each, and they were just yapping, 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 yapping. So I was never going to get to the front of there, and I had other stuff to do. So unfortunately, I didn't get Al Milgrom on it. But the last binding that I got signed, and this I was very excited about because this was like something I specifically made for this purpose. So I made this top 10 binding. This is Alan Moore and Gene Ha, and Gene Ha it was there. So I made this specifically with the intent purpose of getting a Gene Ha sketch in this book. And, long story short, I did. I got a head sketch of Toy Box on the front end paper, which I used sketch paper to make specifically for this reason. I love his signature, just the word "Ha" with the exclamation point. Gene Ha, super nice guy. In a world where at conventions creators are upcharging tons for just like simple signatures, and then if you ask for a sketch, the price just keeps up and up and up and up. Gene Ha, that costs $10. He charges $10 for a signature and a sketch. That's what you get, and that's a great deal. He's also a good person to speak to and just talk about his experiences in the comic industry. So I really like that. Thank you, Gene Ha, for that. What about some comics that I picked up? I did buy a few comics, nothing really major. Actually, like buying keys at conventions, I'm kind of over. It's not really what I'm looking for anymore. I'm more into alternative stuff or very specific run fillers. So that's kind of what I got here. So this is double-sided. I grabbed the next couple Brenda stories. These are mini comics by Matt Ryan of Free Lunch Studios. And this is basically his take on, like, what if Conan the Barbarian had a daughter named Brenda? So they're slightly comedic barbarian adventures that are very cartoony, but really creative and fun. I would love to do maybe a dedicated episode one day on the Brenda comics to show them off a little bit, but I really like Matt Ryan's art style. It's just, they're all really fun. I met him for the first time last year at Terrificon, where I bought the first batch of Brendas, and I liked them so much I couldn't wait to go back to Terrificon specifically to see him to get the next ones. So I was really happy about that. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I did get some Swamp Things. I got Swamp Thing 101, 102, 107, and 108. These are all from the Doug Wheeler run that follow Rick Veitch. Now, I need these because I plan to do a binding of these. I have all the Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore Swamp Things. I'm going to make the Rick Veitch omnibus, and then I'm going to make a Doug Wheeler omnibus. And then I already have the Nancy Wheeler. Like, there's what DC published a Nancy Wheeler omnibus, so I have that. So I just want to have all of the Swamp Things collected from Alan Moore through the end of Nancy Collins. So I'm just filling in that Doug Wheeler run at this point. Have never read it before. We'll see how it is. And my last pickups were from my guy, Monty Keene. I got Steel Streets #9, which is just the most recent issue of his series Steel Streets, which is fantastic. Haven't had a chance to read it yet. And his newest release, which is Yirasuka, the baddest bitch in Sector 6. This is a blast. This is such a fun, fun comic book. This is one of the best like underground comics you'll read. It is everything an underground comic should be. It's full of sex and nudity in gratuitous amounts. It's violent. It's over the top and ridiculous and kind of stupid. And the plot is so absurd that it borders on incoherent. It's like it's all of the best of like what you expect from like a Larry Wells Underground or like something like that, you know. Just really absurd and silly. Also features some great pinups in here from like Jim Rugg, Jim Mahfood, Beverly Salas. So I highly recommend that if you're an alternative underground comics fan. Monty Keene has got you covered. Now let me show you my two biggest purchases. This is the original art that I got. All right, so the first piece of original art that I bought was from Alex Toth. Yeah, that's pretty big name in comics history. So this is a really cool one to have. Sorry about if there's any glare. I'll put up just a regular flat picture of it as well, so you can see. But this is a striking image of just a dentist at work, and something really stood out to me about it, like the angle of the action, just what was framed within it. It was really striking to me and interesting. And it's rendered so beautifully and so cleanly. Alex Toth, his line work is just so impeccable. I had to have it, and it wasn't like too expensive, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like I'm under budget so far for this show. Let me pick this up, and it's really neat. I'm gonna frame this one and hang it somewhere on the wall because it's relatively small. It's only 8.5 by 11. So yeah, it's just like really cool to be able to own an Alex Toth. And not just like a pencil sketch, something that's fully rendered in ink. Oh, and like the only thing I was able to find about the image is that it was something that he made for a film strip for I think the U.S. government for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I have no idea what the context of it was, or what the film strip was for, or how this image even factored into it. If you might know that, please let me know. But yeah, that's what it was for. And I still have to look up more about it. But the big purchase I made was a actual published comic page, and of course it's a Swamp Thing. And it's another Rick Veitch page for my collection. This is my second Rick Veitch Swamp Thing page. This is from issue 63, which is the second to last issue that Alan Moore worked on. This is a great issue where the series kind of returns to its horror roots. And in fact, Swamp Thing returns to Earth in that issue. I have an entire episode on it in my Swamp Thing read-along section, which you should check out. This is a great page featuring Abby and Chester. And there's just a lot of cool visuals on this page that stood out to me, particularly in black and white. And I'm going to I'll put up a regular picture here in case there's glare on the plastic, the archival plastic that I have it in right now. Yes, I use archival materials. I'm not manhandling these things. But I love the way that Chester's jacket, like the spangles on it look. Alfredo Alcala's inking is terrific. I love the reverse silhouettes, like the back and forth silhouettes in the middle of the page. I love the directional just X at the bottom of the page. I love the way that the tree looks. The lighting is just so strong and well defined. This is a great page. And it's one where if you're reading the comic book, you don't linger on it too long. You probably see that and like, oh, Swamp Thing's not on this page. I'm going to flip through it. But seeing it in black and white and seeing the craftsmanship that goes into it really makes you appreciate just how good these artists are. And this is a beautiful page. It's oversized too. It's about 13 by 20. It's bigger than the other page I had, which is 11 by 17. So storing it, I have to make sure I store it carefully because it's a little bit larger than I'm used to having. It's too big even for like the frame that I have my Stephen Bissett in. So I'm going to take good care of it, but I need to find something to accommodate it. But yeah, that was my haul for my Connecticut trip. I had a good time. I hope you liked what you saw today. Let me know if you saw anything that you thought was really cool. If you went to Terrificon, let me know what you picked up. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. But now it's time to get back to reading.